After working for the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department for 33 years, mostly combating L.A. gangs, Richard Valdemar quit in frustration. In March of 2004, he gave up and fled to Arizona. Why did he leave L.A. for Arizona?
They are where Los Angeles was, 20 years ago. So they still have a chance to stop gangs and drugs and all that. I gave up on L.A.
Sergeant Valdemar was disillusioned by the way politics interfered with good policing policies. But what really undermined his willingness to put his life on the line every day was seeing firsthand the successes of the Mexican drug cartels here in the United States.
These people have so much money, they can literally buy cities. A person would arrive, middle-aged, Hispanic, with papers, good papers. He had money in Mexico. He'd buy a restaurant in the city, usually a seafood restaurant, Mexican restaurant. He'd go around to all the civic groups and invite them to have their meetings at his restaurant. He's going to give them discounts. Go to the police chief or the local police officers, make friends with them, invite them to have their parties and have dinner there, and he'd take care of the bill and that kind of thing. And pretty soon he knows most of the major players in the city. What they don't know is that he's a part of the drug cartel. He will eventually finance when there's an election. Most city councils have an odd number of people on the city council, maybe 5. And and usually they stagger their elections, so there's 3 and 2 running at alternate times. They wait till the 3 are running, because that's a majority. When these 3 people run, they'll pump tons of money into the election. And they'll run 10 candidates for 3 offices. Most of those candidates are not really viable candidates. They're mudslingers. They're people who dig up dirt and make accusations against the 3 incumbents. So what they'll do is eventually they'll have 3 candidates, not the mudslingers, but they'll have 3 nice-looking, clean candidates that they'll put into office. Now they have a majority in the city council.
Once in control, then these individuals take over the city. Sergeant Valdemar explains how blatant and aggressive they are as they move to take complete control.
First thing they'll do is fire the city attorney, maybe the city manager. Then they'll go and find out who their trash contract is with. They'll hire their own. Then they'll start loosening up the regulations, code enforcement. If you look in your community and you have a Hispanic population, you're going to see these things called used tire shops. Usually they'll have a name like Sinaloan tires. You go there and they'll sell you a tire for $5, or used tires that they pull off some salvage vehicle. So if you get a flat in one tire and you don't want to buy 4 new tires, you can go down there and for $5 or $10 or $15 you buy a new tire. They've got 5 or 6 guys working in there, and the thing is pretty big, and they got thousands of tires. Then you start to think, well, what's the rental on this property? A significant amount. Well, how many tires at $5 or $10 a whack would you have to sell before you could, and plus pay your employees and afford your monthly rent? Well, it's a huge amount. Well, that's because they're not making their income from the sale of tires. Sled shops are another one. They have the Jalisco car sales, right? And it's a small car lot run by Hispanics and catering to Hispanics, and they'll have all these vehicles on there, maybe not a lot of them, like maybe 40, 50 cars on the lot. Some of them look pretty good, but as you drive by that location over and over again during the next few years, you'll see that they rarely change cars. And that's because they're not really selling a lot of cars. That's a front. Call them sled shops, or fronts for laundering money. They're making a claim that they're making a huge income from the tire shop, from the sled shop, but they're not. They're washing drug money.
So now the Mexican drug cartels have their protection of their hand-picked city leaders to use their local businesses to launder huge quantities of cash. They deposit the cash from the sale of the drugs into the bank accounts of local businesses and then transfer those laundered funds to the banks under their control. And this is just the beginning.
So now they have the city council, they have the trash thing, they have now nightclubs, car repair places. These are all under the control of this guy who came in at first and set the thing up. And that's where your corruption is, you know. And this kind of pattern, I've seen it. It was first brought to my attention by a couple of city councilmen in Linwood. The same thing was happening in Southgate at the time, Bell Gardens. We saw some of it in Huntington Park, Hawaiian Gardens, Cudahy, some of these other cities. I was recently contacted by people from Vernon. So this pattern, it repeats itself. So I'm talking about this pattern, and I go to New Mexico. When I tell the story to the New Mexicans, they all start going, wait. You know, that's exactly what's happening to us. Same pattern. And then same thing in Texas, and same thing in Colorado and other cities, other Southwest cities. Usually small cities. A little harder to do in downtown LA. But I can see the influence also eventually coming there.
Where is law enforcement as this is happening? What is going on within the police departments of these various cities? Several smaller LA cities have fired their police departments and have contracted with the sheriff's department, supposedly for money-saving purposes. Is this also a part of the cartel takeover, we asked Sergeant Valdemar?
Hawaiian Gardens had a contract with the sheriff's department. They wanted to pass a gambling initiative. Sheriff's department didn't want them to, right? They tried to explain to them all the corruption that comes with gambling. You know, most people just see the casino. They don't see that there's prostitution, loan sharking, murder, you know, extortion, all these things going on around the casino. So we're trying to convince people in Hawaiian Gardens not to do that. They realize that they're not going to get support from us, so what do? They do away with the sheriff's department, start the Hawaiian Gardens Police Department for 1 year, right? Get the initiative passed, get the gambling through, then they cancel the Hawaiian Gardens Police Department and recontract with the sheriff. So that's how they do it.
Full Disclosure has discovered an outstanding resources for the LA citizens to learn about corruption in South LA cities on the internet. Check out watchourcity.com and read all the citizens' reports of corruption on their website. We asked Sergeant Valdemar to explain what conditions have allowed this insidious erosion of our public officials. What are the most important factors that are causing our local governments to fall prey to these evil forces?
The lack of enforcement on immigration. There's your first problem, you know. The legal immigrants aren't doing this. That's not them. It's the illegal immigrants who are coming here. Now, our consumption of drugs, you know, where's heroin coming from? Afghanistan, Pakistan, right? And who's growing it? The Muslim radicals who want to destroy us. So we are buying heroin from the very people, supplying them with the money and the weapons they need to destroy us, you know. And people don't see that. Same thing with, you know, cocaine and you know, everything else, all the other drugs. And those fuel the gangs, pay the terrorists, but we continue to consume more drugs than anybody else. And then the immigration, same thing. Let's look the other way. You know, we know what's happening. We know this is all illegal, but we're just going to look the other way. It's the federal government's problem. No, it isn't. It's our community.
If you'd like to see this entire interview, you can purchase this program by clicking on the Buy Our Program link on the top of this page.